One of the real challenges in drawing freehand with ink is getting proportions correct, because it's very difficult to change what we've done once we've done it. So let me show you how I do it with this demonstration, and at the very end when I finish this drawing I'm going to show you a really easy method of checking the proportions that you've done in seconds against the reference. It's incredibly helpful for knowing where we have to put our effort, our focus in our next drawings with proportion. But I start by choosing a simple shape that I just really work hard at observing and getting in the correct proportion. And I choose this door. And what I then do is, because I'm drawing the same size, I look at the distance between the top of the door and the bottom of the balcony, and I try and estimate that same height above my doorway, and that gives me the bottom of the upper story. And then I look at the distance on each side of our doorway to the pillars, to the columns. Now notice that in this case it's not centrally located. The door is not in the center. That's the sort of thing we see when we look carefully and we don't presume at a glance that we know what's happening. I don't know why it's not centered, but that's the way this is being built. Aha. Okay, so what happens then is I'm really seeing this now as a series of boxes and boxes within boxes. And this is probably the most straightforward way of practicing proportions with subjects that are basically boxes within boxes, and particularly when we see them in one-point perspective as we do here. So what I'm doing now is I'm seeing these windows as boxes within boxes. And all the time I'm measuring off the distance of my window in comparison with the distances in the doorway, with the heights and the widths, and the distance between the window and the column and the door. I'm looking at all the shapes between the objects. It's easy to think, oh, I'm drawing the door, I'm drawing the window, but in fact I'm also drawing the space between them. And so before I do a line to start, say, one of the windows, I'm looking, am I now drawing the space between the window and the door in the right proportion according to the reference? It's constantly looking at every part of our reference to get the visual information we need before we put the ink on the paper. And when I do put the ink on the paper first time, you'll notice most of the time I either just do a dot, or I do a very faint line, or a very faint series of dashes. That's to give me a second chance to try and visualize the line there, or whatever I'm going to draw there, and to think, okay, is that looking the way it looks in the reference, or should I move it one way or the other, or shorten it or lengthen it? So it's a second chance, if you like. And as I move across to this doorway on the lower right, I'm doing the same thing. It's boxes within boxes. Now, making it a little less straightforward is the fact that we've got these 4 shrubs in the front, because they're not boxes. So what I do is I look to see where they interrupt my drawing of the boxes. And before I either draw the boxes there or continue the boxes down to those parts, I make sure I do at least a very faint silhouette edge that won't compete in terms of the marks I use for the actual ones I'll use when I draw it, but to reserve the space, to make sure when I draw the straight lines that come down to that space, either vertically or horizontally, that I don't draw them into the area I'm going to want to draw those shrubs. Now I've got the balcony on the upper floor, and what I'm looking at is a series of rectangles that I'm creating, and I'm trying to keep the proportions of the rectangles the same as they are in the reference. And now I'm doing the same thing with this upper door that I did with the lower door. I've noticed that it's over the top, it's centered over the door underneath, but that it's also not centered between those 2 upper columns. And now I put the signage in. Signage is something we need to be really careful with. We should not actually write letters unless we can write them so that stylistically they fit comfortably, visually comfortable within our overall drawing. That they look like they were the original sign written letters on our sign here. If we can't do that, or quite possibly the signage is actually too small for its scale on our drawing for us to be able to do accurately such as that, then we need to find marks that look as if they're letters that aren't actually letters. And that's not as hard to do as you might think. And that way, attention isn't drawn directly to the fact that this signage looks very, very unrealistic. We need to realise that lettering, words, will always draw people's attention. The brain will always go straight there to get meaning. At this point, I'm not real sure how much detail I'm going to put. Am I going to indicate the brickwork at all? Am I going to do the shadows under the eaves and the veranda? In the end, I decide to have a lighter touch with that because I wanted to keep the lines fairly simple. I'm using a 0.2mm pen. If you're finding this interesting, my process helpful, please hit the like button for me right now. And if you have a particular issue drawing freehand in ink in terms of proportions or any other fundamental issue drawing freehand in ink, please let me know in the comments. You may very well give me an excellent idea for a video where I can focus on that. Or possibly give you a link in the comments to a video I've already done on that topic. Now, when it comes to the pitch of the roof, in my reference, I'm looking how high above the veranda, well, the top of the guttering, is the top of the pitch of the roof. And I'm also looking at where exactly that horizontal part positions itself over the architectural details below, particularly that upper doorway. And then I look at those, and I then look at my drawing, and I position the marks the same. The same with the chimney. I firstly position it where it is on the reference, and it's over the upper left window, and then I position the smaller one on the right. I don't think it's actually smaller, it's just that it's, I think, further back along the building, and so it looks further. Now come what is often a really difficult thing to do, and I think drawing freehand accurately actually brings this in too, and that's the wrought iron, the iron lacework that we have. Now, this is a fairly complex design, and I did zoom in on the original photo just to see it in more detail. Because while I have no intention of trying to draw it the same, I want to get the feel of the pattern accurate. And so I actually had a good look and I roughed on a bit of paper, basically the design that I'm doing now. I want the general feel of the swirls and the shapes and the amount of iron versus gap between the iron to be fairly similar. This is a fairly detailed, dense design with a lot more swags and garlands and curves in it, as opposed to the perhaps more common wrought iron, which does have more vertical features or vertically dominated features. So particularly because this had more of an all-over pattern feel, I wanted to do marks that would capture the effect of that detail without trying to draw the detail. Another great example of what I mean when I talk about drawing the effect of detail, not the detail. It's not just leaves on the tree, it's not just gravel on the ground, it's not just grass, it's things such as this. And I do the same thing with this wrought iron lacing that edges the top of the veranda space. In fact, you could do a drawing exercise where you just draw these wrought iron railings at the same size as a drawing would be. A great way to practice drawing the effect of detail. These fairly geometrically even buildings that we can take a photo of front on are a great way of practicing freehand proportions when we draw in ink, because the shapes are relatively simple and we don't have the issues of foreshortening and seeing depth and all of these things that are just another thing to have to work out on top of the more basic, getting the height to width ratio of various elements, windows and doors correct, and also spacing between things correct. So now I breathe a sigh of relief and I do the trees and the shrubs that we can see on each side. I always feel these sorts of things just beautifully frame the building. And if they don't come up fairly dark against pale walls, I tend to exaggerate the value of the leaves, of the foliage, just so that I can get a nice good contrast. That really makes the building stand out and come forward to us. In a moment, I'll show you another example of drawing the effect of the detail, not the actual detail, when I do the roofing. Because while I didn't want to put too much visual detail on the roof or the walls, at the moment they're both looking the same. And that's not accurately reflecting the reference. So I felt like I needed to put some sort of marks to reflect the underlying structure and composition of either the corrugated iron roofing or the brick walls. Now, the brick walls, I probably would have thought of doing that first, except the bricks are very small at this scale. And so I'm going to have to do very, very fine lines very close together. And I'm just afraid that it's going to create too much line work that in the end visually is not accurate, because these bricks are all fairly even in colour and they're all very small, and we're far away enough that the concrete sections between them is so fine that it's not super apparent. Whereas I felt that the corrugations in the iron roofing was in fact perhaps more obvious, and that was what I could try and capture the effect of. So at this point now I'm just finishing the details. I'm finishing those small fall shrubs in front, and I've still got the stonework along the front, which I'm just doing now. You're watching this 3 times my normal drawing, actual real-time drawing speed. This took me just, I don't know, between 40 and 45 minutes to do in real time. And again, with the stonework, I want to suggest the stonework at the right scale. If there's 2 or 3 rows of stones in the height of this container for the plants, then that's what I want to have. But I don't want to draw all of them. I just want to draw some fairly loosely, fairly casually, to suggest, make obvious what they are. But these are not a focal point of the drawing. And I've decided it by now, I think, that I'm not going to do any hatching for the shadow underneath. I'm just going to keep it nice and clean. So I'm going very lightly here, very lightly. Now, all the center lines are fairly vertical. They're fairly straight down because we are looking straight on. But the building is wide enough that particularly on the right-hand side, where we're a little off-centered more, that they're going to end up sloping outwards more as they move to the right. And they'll do the same to the left, but just not as much. We find this out by carefully observing these lines in our reference, where they're vertical and how they angle outwards. And now, as I said at the start of the video, I'll show you a quick and easy way to check if we've done our proportions correctly, and I'll check this drawing that way. It's really quick and easy and straightforward, and I think it's incredibly important because it gives us a sense of where we might be going wrong with our estimation of our proportions. Because in my experience, people tend to make the same sort of mistake over and over again. We'll end up going wider than we should consistently or higher than we should consistently. And the way I like to do it is I get my reference and I get a scrap sheet of paper and I go from one side to the other, or I may choose a certain element within the facade. And if I was trying to draw it the same size, then I can simply transfer this from here to here and see how I've gone. So clearly I'm pretty happy with that. But let's see how I went the other direction. So for the other direction, I think we'll go from the top of the gutter in there to ground level at the door. So let's see how that compares now. And that also looks pretty good. Now I could, if I wanted to, try some other elements within this. I could, for instance, try the top of the roof pitch to the top of the gutter. And that's pretty accurate as well. I could look at the width of a window. And that's not too shabby either. And last go, we'll look at one of these larger windows on the ground floor. Yep, and that's okay too. But this is a tremendously easy way to see where our proportions are correct, or if we're given to an error consistently in a certain direction, because then we know what to watch out for. And why not get a few previous drawings you've done, if you've still got the reference, and measure in this way. And if you don't draw the same size, that's okay. If you're drawing size and a half, then you can measure this and then times it by 1.5. And then this one should be times 1.5 as well. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope you didn't just find this interesting. I hope it challenges anyone who struggles with getting proportions correct to really have some time focusing on that, and in fact choosing subjects that will make it as easy as possible to have success in drawing the proportions. And of course you'll find this reference on my channel community page if you want to have a go using this. But hey, in the end, whatever you want to draw, however you want to draw it, and whatever degree of accuracy you want or don't need to have, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.